The first comment I read on here says, yawn, Purdue is shit, which is crazy to think because Purdue is I'd say the biggest test Nebraska's faced so far this year past Michigan. I am stressed out about tomorrow. I'm not going to say that in my preview video. I'm going to show and express confidence. I'm going to still believe that we can win. But tomorrow makes me nervous. Purdue being a 1.5 point dog, started off at 2.5. It's moved quite a bit. It doesn't feel right. It feels like Nebraska should be a heavy favorite, especially with cold weather at home. Purdue has bad special teams. I mean, what does Vegas know that we don't? What matchup do they like that we don't realize isn't in Nebraska's favor? I'm just saying I'm nervous. I still am slamming Nebraska. I'm still all on board. I still think they're going to win, and I think they could win by 10. 10 is pretty much the max, but they could win by 10 points tomorrow. They could beat this Purdue team pretty soundly. But I do think Purdue has some weapons. They have really good receivers. They have the most challenging offense that we've faced since Michigan. They, by far, Illinois, come on, Luke Altmaier was not very good. Their running game wasn't that good. They had a couple good receivers, but I wasn't that impressed by Illinois. Northwestern, what was there to say about Northwestern? They had a couple breakaway runs that were good. They had a deep pass downfield, but they didn't have the weapons that Purdue's going to bring to the table. Not saying it's going to be a loss, just saying it's something to consider when a team is that close on the road. I said it in the preview video. 3 points is given to the home team automatically. So on a neutral field at 1.5, that means that Purdue would be favored by 1.5 points. In a bowl game, Purdue would be favored to beat Nebraska. Feels a little funny, right? 2-5 Purdue. I'm trying to find the reason that Vegas thinks that. We're gonna look at some things today. We'll look and see where the matchups are and why I like Nebraska to win. But there's gonna be some matchup in here that somebody favors out there. Bad Bar Trucking says he's gonna miss the game tomorrow. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Thank you for being a member. You're on Donner's Pass in California. I'm glad that you like my content and I can give you something to look forward to, but I hate that you're going to miss watching the game. You know, you got to get one of those streaming things, a little TV, like in your car, the phone. You can watch games on your phone. I'm just kidding. I know you already got your phone, but I don't know why you can't watch it. It's unfortunate. G Money says, do you think anyone on our team is a first round NFL talent? That's an interesting question. Right now, I wouldn't say there's anyone on the team that's a first round NFL talent. Could they be developed into one? Of course. You think a guy like Cam Lenhart, who's a true freshman, is already playing a ton. Maybe he has a future, but you got to see how they pan out and develop over the long term. When you talk about first round talent, we're talking about the top 30 guys in the entire country who fit what the NFL wants. It's a little hard to predict when we're talking about really young guys who haven't played that many games, because most of the guys who we're talking about in that first round talent conversation are going to be underclassmen, because none of the upperclassmen are at that level yet, which, you know, it is what it is. It's all good. Daryl says he's late. Well, it's okay. You're here. We're happy to have you. I want to start this off with a little bit of a preview for this game. I read this on Winners and Winers. It's a matchup of teams from the West Division of the Big Ten as they collide on the gridiron in the Cornhusker State. The Purdue Boilermakers are on the road as they make the trip to take on the Nebraska Cornhuskers on Saturday afternoon. Purdue had a bye last week. They were clobbered at home before that on October 14th, failed to cover as a 17-point dog. I mean, it's Ohio State. Ohio State's a pretty dominant team, just like Michigan is. It says that Nebraska won a rock fight. Whatever, we know the summary. Give me something about Purdue. Here we go. Purdue limps into this game. Let me get it so you guys can read it too. Okay. Purdue limps into this game losers of 2 straight and 4 of 5 as they were clobbered by number 3 Ohio State at home in their previous contest. Boilermakers come in off a bye and stand 2-5, stand tied for 5th in the Big Ten West. Trailed 13-0 after the opening quarter of the Ohio State game, and then they just got worked. None of that matters because it's just like Nebraska getting worked by Michigan. They're tied for 63rd in the nation in passing offense with 232 yards per game, while they're 91st in rushing offense with 138 yards. Purdue stands 102nd in scoring offense. That's pretty freaking bad, especially when you have to face a top 20 defense. And it says Card is 149 of 216 for 1,600 yards and 7 TDs. 7 TDs to 5 interceptions, though. I think that's an important stat. Right here is a game changer. Matt Rule said, How is this team, speaking of his own team, how is this team a 4-win team with a -8 turnover differential? Let's go to turnovers really quick. Turnovers lost. Nebraska is in the bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The rest of the bottom 15 in turnovers lost nationally. In turnover margin, this is turnovers gained versus turnover lost, obviously. Nebraska is damn near at the bottom. They're in the bottom 5, which is just disrespectful. It's okay. Things are looking up. They're going to get fixed. But Purdue's not that much better is kind of the point. It says Devin Mockabee leads the team on the ground with 105 carries for 478 yards, 4 touchdowns on the season. Tyrone Tracy, 50 carries, 296 yards. And then Dylan Downey's their number 3. Deion Burks has 27 catches, 418 yards. I mean, these are all stats that don't jump off the page to you, right? There's nobody here who looks like a glaring beast on the field who could dominate Nebraska's defense. The question is there someone on their defense who can work and take advantage of Nebraska's offense? And when I say take advantage of, can they confuse Heinrich Haarberg enough to create turnovers? And if you do create turnovers, that's where they're going to have the edge. I hate looking at these numbers. 128th in the nation in passing offense, which is in the bottom 3 nationally, by the way, or bottom 2. They only score 18 points a game, and they're 26th in scoring defense, which is the one bright side for Nebraska and the reason they're favored in so many games. It says in this pick that they think Nebraska wins by 3. Purdue has been sliding in the wrong direction as the first season with Ryan Walters as the head coach has been a struggle. Boilermakers have been gouged on the ground at times, surrendering 153 yards a game, 4 yards a carry, and allowed 14 scores. Nebraska could have Sims back this week, which would give them the ability to utilize 2 quarterbacks. You know, I think Sims is done at this point. Sims, if he doesn't play this week, what's the point? Sims isn't going to play the rest of the year. I don't know what he wants to do. Is he going to come back and fight for the job next year? Will he opt into the transfer portal? I don't think Sims is going to be back this week. I don't think Sims is going to come back at all unless he was needed in this game. But let's say Haarberg got hurt this week and Sims had to come in. Then you've got 1, 2, 3. You got 5 games where Sims could play. Outside of that, I think it's very unlikely he's going to play. We can talk about that more later, but it just feels like we're at the time in the season where you have a quarterback who thought he had a chance at going pro. Is he going to wait around forever? Is he going to just say, I'm just going to sit on the bench at Nebraska? I came here to be a starter and I'm just going to now go in and play 3 games and burn a year of eligibility. Doesn't seem right. Husker Nation, thank you for gifting everybody memberships. Always supporting on our show. Appreciate you. Goose says he stands by his comment yesterday. Goose, what was your comment yesterday? You got to remind me. I scroll through all the comments on the videos, but it's hard to remember everybody's. Daryl says, do you think this is the game where our special team scores a TD? They've come close a time or 2. It's so random for a special teams touchdown, right? I don't know if this is the game. I think that they could have a big special teams moment in this game. I think we always have opportunities for those, especially when you have playmakers back there to return kicks. But who are the playmakers now? Is Tommy Hill one of them? I don't know. I think Tommy Hill is a little bit banged up. I know Alex Bullock is one returner. I can't remember who they said the other returner was going to be. I could probably look it up. Let's see. Nebraska, depth chart, Purdue. Let's see. I know Alex Bullock is one. The other is, it's not updated. Oh, either Emmett Johnson or Tommy Hill is what it says here. Who knows? I accidentally clicked the comment, but Corey says, unless Sims switches to running back. I don't think Sims is going to switch and play a different position. Sims came here to play quarterback. Daryl says he'd rather have Sims than Purdy. I think Sims, no question, is the backup quarterback, but if he doesn't want to play and he wants to sit out because it's getting too close to that, red shirt number where he could just say, I'm going to not burn a year of eligibility, then he's not going to play another position and waste his time, I like this name. No offense, only defense. Our offense blows though too. Nothing but love to the guys, but it's going to be a slugfest. Congrats on the new place. Do you think the O-line is going to hurt us enough to stop the run game? I actually don't. I'm not concerned about the O-line for tomorrow. I have, I don't want to say I have expectations of them, but I never have expectations of them. I kind of expect them to be the worst unit on the field, and I expect them to do just enough to not overly screw things up. Don't jump off or don't create false starts too many times. Don't hold too often. If you're the center, don't fumble the snap. Whatever the other little issues that they can have are, I expect them not to have the baseline, right? But if it's a blocking thing, they're going to miss blocks. They're going to let guys get past them. They're not going to be in the right position all the time because that's just what it's been under Donovan Raiola. And I don't think Donovan Raiola, has corrected any of the issues that we saw from the last couple of years. I will say there has been a little bit of an improvement with Bryce Benhart. He looks like he's way better than he was the last couple seasons. But outside of Benhart, everybody else kind of looks the same or regressed. Ben Scott, good. Nordy Nuili, the same as he was in 2021, right? So, yeah, just don't give the game away as the offensive line, and they did enough. They did their job. They did what was expected of them. Smoking Cactus thinks that the offensive line is going to ball out tomorrow. I was talking to my cousin before this. He said there's two ways this could go. The offensive line obviously could get wrecked and destroyed, or in practice, the offensive line looks okay, but they're not good enough to overtake Turner Corcoran, for example. Like Teddy, it hasn't done enough to outplay him. Or Justin Evans Jenkins wasn't ready to take over a guard or a center spot because the guys in front of him have been playing better in practice. But when it comes to a game, guys show up different. Guys are more motivated. Guys play a little bit better. So maybe we get more out of them in that game environment. That would be the dream. So we'll see. Zach says, if you watched any of the GBR Rewind, Rule's halftime speech at Northwestern was straight fire. I have watched all of the GBR Rewinds except for Northwestern. This was my busiest week. You guys know that. So I opted to wait till I could focus on the GBR Rewind tonight when I have time, and then I'm going to really absorb it because that's an enjoyable piece of content to me, and I don't want to waste it by giving it a half-ass watch. You guys know if you have, let's say you're on the computer working and you got your phone in your hand, you got TikTok or whatever, it's cool to kind of half-ass a regular show that you watch all the time. Like, I don't know, if you're watching a football game and the football game's just playing, not Nebraska, but any other team, and then I'm scrolling TikTok, cool, I can half-ass it. GBR Rewind deserves every ounce of my attention. Every word that Matt Rule says deserves my full, scope of my ear to make sure that I can soak in the message and understand what he's saying to that team. Matt Rule said in the presser, this might be the one and only time he does these GBR Rewinds, and that he might not pursue this in the future because it's a lot of work, number one, for the staff. This is their full-time thing during the season now. All these video guys and the guys who work for the team, they're going out and creating this content specifically for recruiting and, to give fans something different, to show what type of culture they're building. But after this, once he kind of shows it, he can go and change those resources into something different, and he can not give away all of his secrets as a coach, right? There's a lot of behind the scenes, closed door stuff that we're getting access to that I don't think other coaches really want people to have access to. Deion Sanders does, but outside of Deion, pretty much every other coach has a closed door mentality. I'm not going to let people hear what I'm saying to my team. So anyway, going back, I'm going to absorb and watch every piece of content that Matt Rule's in because, yeah, it's really fun. It's enlightening. It teaches me something, and yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it for me to give it full attention. Hokie says, love this channel. Thank you again for the encouragement regarding my soon-to-be move to Colorado. It's been a growing moment for me. I'm excited for the opportunity and the mountains. Listen, I really enjoyed Colorado. Colorado's beautiful. It looks like there's a lot going on there. If you go outside and you like to hike and shit like that, Colorado's tip-top. Heroes says, besides limiting turnovers and penalties, what is the biggest key to get the win tomorrow? So what was the comment that I made about Shedeur Sanders? I talked about in the preview video, Hudson Card being an X factor because he can extend plays. There were two quarterbacks who were able to extend plays on Nebraska early in the season, and it really wore the defense down. And less wore them down in the Minnesota game, more in the Colorado game. When Nebraska played Ethan Kaliak-Manis and Shedeur Sanders, both of those guys had the ability to get around the pocket and not get tackled, right? You had a few sacks, a few hurries, but the quarterbacks were able to get the ball out to receivers, and it was too much time for those DBs to be covering those guys one-on-one or even in zone. If Hudson Card can run around and keep plays alive, because he does have that athletic ability, it's going to be a long day for the secondary. The secondary is already Nebraska's weaker side when we talk about the defense. You got the front seven, you got the secondary, front seven, lockdown, solid, secondary, have their moments. I think Hudson Card is the X factor, which means you have to limit him, which means you got to be able to create more pressure, right? Create as much as you possibly can, blitz the shit out of him, make him feel like he's got to get that ball out quickly, because if he doesn't and he dances around there like Shedeur Sanders did and has all day to find guys and let them get open, Purdue's going to score some points. If Purdue can score 21 points, I think they could beat Nebraska. Nebraska, I think, is going to score 17 to 20, and I don't know if they can go more than that. Sure, they can get lucky, have a couple breakaway plays, but they don't have all their best playmakers. Just thinking about it. 2 running backs, 3 receivers. You're down 5 playmakers. Starters. Purdue is going to key in on Heinrich Haarberg. There's no question, just like Northwestern did. I'm telling you now, don't send me any messages tomorrow. Look, you can send me messages tomorrow, but I don't want any shit saying, Connor, why the hell is Nebraska passing the ball? Why aren't they running it more? I'm telling you now, Purdue's defense knows what the hell is coming. They know that Heinrich Haarberg is running it downhill. They know the zone read is there. They know the option concepts are there. They know that Nebraska wants to run straight at them, which means Purdue's going to stack the box. They're going to have creative blitzes. They have an elite defensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator who had the #1 defense in the country last year, a defensive coordinator who was so good as a DC. He got a Big Ten job after only 2 years at a different Big Ten school as the defensive coordinator, right? They're going to know how to stop Heinrich Haarberg in the offense. And if they do, Nebraska's going to be limited to 17 points. So the defense has to be able to contain Hudson Card. They have to get to him, and they can't let anything get up over the top. The only way that happens, I think, is if he is able to scramble and extend plays. Otherwise, I think the defense is going to be just fine. It's when the play breaks down and the guy's off running to the sideline and just launches it across his body. That's where we get screwed up. That's what Shedeur was able to do. Smoking Cactus disagrees. He thinks we're scoring 24 plus. They could. Offense has, the firepower at quarterback to have a couple breakaway plays, but really the defense would have to put him in position. The defense would have to create turnovers to make short fields. The offense they aren't consistent. You get sparks out of them. Opening series, maybe they'll have a big set of plays, like, 4 or 5 that, big chunk plays, 20 yards here, 15 yards there, and then they get a field goal out of it, or they get a score. But then you have 3 series in a row that end up in a punt, or there's a fumble, or there's a false start that holds them back. It's always some nonsense, right? It kills drives. So if there are any drive killers, then Nebraska can't score on those. They never do. Just track it tomorrow. If there's a false start, a holding, a fumble behind the line of scrimmage, any nonsense, let me know if Nebraska bounces back from it. Because so far what we've seen this year is they don't bounce back from that. They get in 2nd and 15 or 3rd and 12, and then they're done. The drive's dead. I'm pissed off because why the hell did the guy hold, or why was there a false start, or why Heinrich looked to the left when the ball came at him, whatever happens. So just pay attention. I think that Nebraska's ceiling 17 points. I hope I'm wrong. And I think I could be wrong. They could, get lucky, but consistently they're scoring 17 points. PK says total and consistent pressure on the QB and offense protect the rock. They need to keep the run game strong. Offense is going to surprise us. I don't know. Why would the offense surprise us this week? I feel like if they would have surprised us, it would have been last week, right? Last week they were playing Northwestern, who for sure has a worse defense than Purdue, who for sure has a worse defensive staff than Purdue. I mean, I would think last week would have been the week. And it's funny because everyone kind of agrees. Corey says it right here, 17-6 Nebraska. All the score predictions I see, everyone always says 17 points for Nebraska. Don't get me started. Says, doesn't it feel like it's about time for a defensive score? It's felt like it was about time for about 3 weeks now. I'm ready for it. Tommy Hill's fast enough. Obviously, Nash Hutmacher can get back there and hopefully force something, and then maybe one of those DNs can pick it up and score. I mean, there are guys out there who can score on defense. They're fast enough to break away if they pick the ball up. Let's see who the top playmakers are for tomorrow, the projections. So I got a comment the other day, yesterday, or maybe it was today on the last video I did, and they said, oh, I don't like the sports betting talk. I love the content, but not the sports betting talk. well, number one, I've got to do the sports betting talk because that's what pays my bills. So I got to do it, or I can't make content. Got to pick and choose your battles, right? But number two, sports betting can show you, and analytics and lines can show you what is most likely to happen in a lot of these games. How often, I mean, I don't know if you guys know the numbers, but how often do player props and point totals or betting lines, how often do those come true? How often do they come to fruition? Pretty damn often. If you go and look, there are a lot of pushes. There are a lot of times where a game ends up in being a 3 or 4 point game and the line was set at 2.5 or 5 or whatever. So I like to look at these because they tell the story. They give us a little bit of a prediction for what should happen based on what the computers think. And the computers are, billion-dollar machines that run every single data point they have. So we talked about it in the preview video. The total is set at 39. That means the projection is like a 21-17 type of score. They expect Hudson Card to score or to have 1 passing touchdown. Heinrich, they don't expect to have any passing touchdowns. That's what this line means. For passing yards, they expect Card to go over to around 210, Heinrich around 120. That's fair. I think 120 might even be high for Heinrich unless they have one big bomb to Malachi. Leading rusher for Nebraska, they expect is Emmett Johnson at 39.5. Anthony Grant, they think at 26.5. I actually would predict that Anthony Grant rushes for more than 40 yards tomorrow. I like this right here. I think last week, Anthony Grant got benched because of the fumble the week before. I think they wanted to teach him the lesson, but I do think Anthony Grant gets more reps and more touches this week, which means 26 feels kind of low. I could be wrong, but who knows? Devin Maccabee's their star. They think he'll get 54. 54 seems high. I bet he finishes with like 40 yards. I think he's more of a downhill runner. I don't think he has that breakaway speed. I think he's going to run right at the line of scrimmage, and Nebraska's defense has been really good at stuffing the run, so I'll say he goes less than 54. All the receiving yard props are for Purdue receivers. Rahman Yassin, Deion Burks, who I think is like their best receiver, Garrett Miller, tight end, and TJ Sheffield. And then for Nebraska, it's the lone Malachi Coleman and Thomas Fidone. Every week, Thomas Fidone's projected to have 24 yards receiving. I've noticed that. I pay attention to it. And last week, he had 18 yards receiving. Fidone should have had like 30 plus. Every week, I would say that he's on pace based on targets and based on routes he's running to go for about 50 yards. And if he would catch every ball that was thrown his way, he would go for over 50 yards a game. Every game. Thomas Fidone's been in position to have a really breakout year, and he just hasn't been able to. He hasn't been consistent enough. So hopefully tomorrow he goes over that 24 mark. Not because I'm betting it, but just because I want to see him, get into the 50s. Thomas Fidone deserves some big games, and we need him to be a big playmaker if the offense is going to take that step forward, because you're down to Bullock, Coleman, and him. Those are the 3 big guys at receiver right now. The 3 options. And here was the totals. They think Nebraska will score 20. They think Purdue will score 17, 18, somewhere in there. Interesting. I don't know, man. I know you guys have your own thoughts on it. And a lot of people have told me they think weather's going to play a factor. Let me pull this up. I'm not there right now. I'm in 65-degree weather. Maybe it's a little colder now because it's getting dark outside. But I heard it was like 75 plus in Lincoln yesterday. And now it's going to be 39 tomorrow. Significant drop off. You guys get some crazy weather out there. Different from my world, I'm telling you. But I don't think it'll snow. I mean, I looked at like 3 different websites. There was nothing about snow. It said wind. It said there's a small chance. Right here it says 6%. As long as it doesn't snow, I don't know. I feel pretty confident that Purdue's not going to be affected by it that much. I think their kicking game could be, and their kicking game is obviously been one of their bigger issues. But outside of that, I think their offense is going to function just fine. I don't think it should throw Card off too much. I think the wet weather is what would hold him back. I don't know. Everybody has different thoughts on it. Never mind me says it's going to be like 35. Nebraska weather sucks. Some people like seasons. Some people like the cold. Some people enjoy getting some variety. So I wouldn't say it sucks. It's just different, So if anyone is set to have a coming out party tomorrow, who do you got? A coming out party would typically imply that we're talking about a player who hasn't had one yet. I think Malachi, has he had a coming out party yet? Last week you could teeter on saying he has, because he had one catch that went for a touchdown. It was a huge play. It was a game-changing play. It was actually, I'd consider a game-winning play, right? So I'd want to say him, but Jaden Doss, maybe that's the guy with the coming out party. Emmett Johnson, if Emmett Johnson's going to get a majority of the touches, he has not had a coming out party game yet. He could be the one. Thomas Fidone still could have a coming out party. If I had to pick one, I would go with Thomas Fidone. I'm going to say that he regresses back to the mean, that he plays better than he did last week. I think last week was an anomaly. I don't think he's been that consistent this year, but last week he was terrible. So I think he'll get back to being pretty good. And because Nebraska needs some receiving hope, and because they need someone that Heinrich is comfortable with that they can target, I think he's the one who's going to be the go-to. So give me Fidone for a coming out party. And our top target, with it being cold and no Billy Kemp, I'm going to say Thomas Fidone. Paul says, give Grant the carries, best chance for a consistent running game. There are some people who like Emmett Johnson now. They say that Emmett Johnson could be the one, you know? I think that, I don't know. It's tough to say. I really like Anthony Grant's experience and his build. I think he's built a little bit tougher and thicker. Emmett Johnson's a different type of back. He's younger. I would probably lean Anthony Grant right now, but Emmett, you know, he's on the verge of breaking out, so we'll see. Out of all the college football teams, which team is on the biggest upset alert? It's a good question. Let's look at it. We'll look at this together, Viking Power. So top 25 matchups is what I want, right? Top 25. Okay. Wake Forest could beat Florida State. It's a morning game. Florida State could come out flat. They were losing to Duke, or not? Were they losing last week? They were in a close one against Duke last week. They could have lost to Boston College earlier this season. Wake Forest is a team you can sleep on because they're really not consistent at all. They're choppy. However, Wake went, was it to Clemson? I think I got to Clemson and almost pulled the win off. They lost by 5. That's a potential upset spot. Right here is a bigger upset spot. I don't think it'll happen. I like Oklahoma to cover this at 8.5. But it opened up as 10, or it opened up at 10, which means a lot of people are betting on Kansas. A lot of smart people are. I think Kansas could win this game outright. Last year, Kansas didn't have their starting quarterback. Jason Bean was getting broken in. They lost by 10 points. This year, Jason Bean has been their quarterback basically the entire season. Plus, he has last year's experience. He's in a better position. They've got Daniel Highshaw, who they didn't have in this matchup. It's the same two teams going up against each other as it was last year. Oklahoma won 52-42. I think Kansas could win this one outright. That's an upset waiting to happen. Florida, Georgia, this is laughable. A 14-point spread. Are you freaking crazy? I remember in 2008, I went to the Florida, Georgia game with my dad. I got Urban Meyer to sign my hat. Actually, let me tell you guys a story. This is a great story. So 2008, I'm a freshman or a sophomore in high school. My dad took me to TPC Sawgrass. He was an executive of this golf course company back then. And he was always going on trips. And he says, oh, I've been to this golf course a bunch. It'll be great. We can stay there. You can meet people who work for me and da, da, da. So I'm like, okay, cool. So we go to this golf course, and it just so happened that Florida was staying there. So we get off the plane. We're, talking about what we're going to do for that night, making all these plans. We get to the hotel. The Gators are there. Right away, we change all those plans. We go to the store. We get a Gator hat. I go back to the hotel. I'm like 14 years old, and I sit in the lobby of the hotel for the rest of the night with my black Sharpie and my white Florida Gators hat. And all the Gator players are walking through the lobby. So I just have them all start signing. I'm walking up to everybody, and I've got my hoodie on, which is like my high school, and it was like a big name high school. So a lot of these guys saw my hoodie, and they were cool. Like, oh, you play there? I know this guy, and da, da, da. So it was cool. I got to talk to all these players, and I got to talk to them about NCAA football, and I used them all in the game back then. Anyway, it was a fantastic night. I was there just sitting in the lobby the entire time getting autographs. And then the next morning, we went to the game. And when we went to the game, Urban Meyer was standing outside the bus. He's just standing there. So I walked up to Urban. I'm like, Urban, I got to have you sign the hat. So he grabs the hat. He looks at the hat. It's got autographs all over the entire thing. So he looks at it. He's obviously Urban Meyer. So he flips it over. signs the bottom half of the bill, like the underside of the bill right here. And the bill was blue. It's so freaking awesome. And he gives me back the hat, like looks at me in the eyes and doesn't smile or anything, just signs it. And I just walk away. I felt fucking cool. I was like, this is awesome. I got the entire team plus Urban Meyer. They went on to win a national championship. That's, one of my prized possessions because it's a good memory. The reason I even bring that up, Urban Meyer and Florida were like the number one team in the country at that time. And I think they were around a 14-point favorite. They dominated Georgia that game, even though it was a rivalry. And even though Georgia was a good football team back then, they absolutely blew them out. I think Georgia could blow Florida out tomorrow. Florida and Georgia has been a long-standing rivalry, but these two teams aren't close. Georgia's a lot better. And even though they haven't played like the better team, they've been really inconsistent. And their only blowout win this year was against Kentucky. I think this is one where they could come and blow the doors off, just like Michigan did to Michigan State. Not the same level, but a similar type of situation. Texas will not lose to BYU. However, BYU could cover. They're a funny team. Oregon, Utah. I like Oregon being a top 10 team who could lose. I think Utah has beaten them 2 out of the last 3 times they played. Utah has a really strong defense. What do they call their quarterback? The pig farmer. They got a pig farmer at quarterback who used to work at Lowe's. He's a former walk-on. They're getting it done with him. So I like this being a potential upset spot. This is not nothing. I guess Cal could potentially upset USC, but USC kind of Would be insane as if Nebraska played USC in Las Vegas for their bowl game. Well, I don't like all the hypotheticals because we just get excited for no reason. We've done it in the past, but we'll just do it for fun, right? Picture this. Nebraska, we'll just say Nebraska loses to Purdue. Bear with me. The sun will rise again. Nebraska loses to Purdue. Nebraska beats Michigan State. They're now at 6 wins. Nebraska loses to Maryland. Nebraska loses to Wisconsin. Nebraska beats Iowa. They're at 7 wins. Okay. They trek out to Las Vegas for the Las Vegas Bowl against USC. Huh? Okay, wait. We're not done yet. Caleb Williams opts out. So do a couple of other guys because, the season's done. Caleb's not playing. They're not going to waste their time playing against Nebraska. What's the point? Guess who's opting out for Nebraska? Nobody. Okay. Motivated, come in there hot, beat USC because USC's got, a good offense with Caleb, but they got, a worse offense without him. Their defense already sucks. Nebraska beats USC. Imagine that. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but they get to 8 wins. They beat USC. How would you feel? I would feel good. That's all I'm saying. I'd be pumped. Now, another option would be they go to Phoenix for the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. If they went to Phoenix for the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, I think it'd be a Pac-12 team. Or no, not Pac-12, sorry, Big 12. It could be like a Texas Tech or Oklahoma State. I don't know, Kansas State, depends. There's a lot left to figure out in this season, but I just saw USC pop up, and it's something I've been thinking about because my USC friends, they all talk such a big game. Like, USC sucks, but they would still kill Nebraska this year. Really? Kill Nebraska this year? Nebraska sucks. We can all agree. Nebraska's not very good. But kill Nebraska? I want to see it. Personally. Personal vendetta. Kentucky plays Tennessee. That's a rivalry game. This is like my lock of the week. I think this is my big one. This is my hammer play. I'm hammering Tennessee -4. I got on it at 3.5, but I like it at 4. Obviously, it's just a push either way. I think Tennessee bounces back strong. This is a rivalry game at night at Kentucky. Tennessee's still, a significant favorite. Tennessee's coming off a loss at Alabama. This is a great opportunity for them to bounce back and embarrass somebody. So this is a good one. I like this pick. I like Tennessee a lot. Ohio State at Wisconsin, only a 14.5-point favorite. It's at Wisconsin at night. I get it, but I think Ohio State could probably blow these guys out. It could be a letdown spot though because they're coming off a big victory over Penn State. So who knows? But Ohio State's way better than Wisconsin. UCLA should crush Colorado. The spread's at 15 right now. It opened at 17. UCLA could beat these guys 45-21. I won't be surprised if that happens. I will be betting UCLA in this game 1,000%. UCLA has a really good defense. Their quarterback is getting better as the year goes on. They have a really strong running back. What's his name? Carson Steele, big white dude from the MAC who transferred in like him. UCLA is going to run away with it. The late night game. Some of you guys might be in bed for this one. I know we got some East Coasters watching right now. This will start at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 my time. So I'll be up until almost 11 o'clock watching this. And yes, I will be watching it because I will be betting on it. I don't know who I'll be betting on, but I love both of these teams. I love betting on them because they both always cover. But this is going to be a battle because Arizona, who started off kind of slow with a couple losses, has now managed to get back to 4-1. They're a little bit like a Nebraska this year. They started off slow, but ended up hot. Oregon State's been hot the entire way through. Personally, I'd probably rather have Oregon State win and let them go on a magical run. You know, I have a little bit of hurt in my heart for Oregon State after the Pac-12 abandoned them. And, you know, they could still end up in the Big 12 or something, but if Oregon State could get one last run in there, win the Pac-12 or do something crazy, get to a big bowl game and win 10 or 11 games again this year, just like they did last year, it'd be a good send-off and a good middle finger to the rest of the Pac-12, you know? Like, screw you guys. We were the better team that should have gotten to go to the Big 12 and should have gotten some media rights deal, but didn't. So anyway, I'm rooting for Oregon State. Either team could win. Oh, I didn't even see. You guys couldn't see it on my screen because I couldn't scroll low enough. Sorry. It's right there. Anyway, I'm back to chat. Blake says, but it's personal though. Co says, you've been drinking tonight, Connor. What did I say? What did I say that would have been me drinking? What was the crazy thing? Barrett says, should rules stick with Harburg or go to Jeff Sims if the offense gets stagnant or has turnover trouble? So I don't think Jeff Sims, I think the Jeff Sims boat has sailed, to be honest. I don't think you go back to Jeff Sims. I think Jeff Sims is going to move on from Nebraska at this point. Is Jeff Sims going to continue to sit on the sideline? I was talking to somebody today about it. We were talking about transfer portal QBs. And he was going through some of the group of 5 guys, and he was going through some of the Pac-12 guys. And he said, you know, there's going to be a lot of options for coaches and portal QBs with all of this realignment, which I knew, but I haven't had the conversations yet or thought too much about it. And then he talked about how some guys, you know, will consider it a red shirt now at this point in the season. And he brought up Sims. I was like, that's an interesting thought. Jeff Sims to red shirt and not play anymore. But at the same time, is it really? No, that actually makes sense. Sims doesn't want to ride the bench all year and burn a year of eligibility. He can't afford to burn a year of eligibility. He's already played 3 seasons. So if Jeff Sims is just going to ride the bench anyway this year, he's going to say, screw it, I'm not playing more than 4 games. And I'm not going to get hurt again. I'm not going to risk that. So I don't think he's going to come back in. I'm reading chat, guys. You guys have a lot of great comments. I really can't see all the predictions with Purdue only getting 3 points becoming true. I see NU winning by 3 with Purdue getting at least 1 passing touchdown. Yeah, I think it's almost inevitable that they get at least 1 passing touchdown. The weakness on defense is the passing D, and that's where they're going to try and exploit Nebraska. They're going to take plenty of shots. Never mind me says, all of our injuries are a blessing. Our future is getting much needed reps. That's, I get what you're saying. I don't know if I agree with what you're saying. There were some younger guys who got injured too. Ramir Johnson could have come back next year no matter what. Gabe Irvin could have come back next year no matter what. Isaiah Garcia Castaneda could have come back next year no matter what. Billy Kemp would have been gone. Deshaun Singleton, I think he had 1 more year of eligibility. Offensive line, I guess, Turner Corcoran, Nuruddin Nuili, Ethan Piper. I guess those you could call a quote unquote blessing in disguise, even though it doesn't sound, very nice. But I don't know. I don't know about that. Jose says he's a little sour on Kowan Lacey. So I don't know if I'm sour about it. I don't get my hopes up in recruiting, right? So for those who don't know, Nebraska had a running back recruit who was committed named Kowan Lacey. He's a 4-star, and he was expected to be he probably would have been Nebraska's number 1 running back next year, if we're being real. Let me go to his On3 profiles because I'm used to using On3. I can't find it, so let's use this one. So he was committed to Nebraska. Then Lane Kiffin makes a heavy push on him. And now he decommitted from Nebraska, and now he's probably going to end up at Ole Miss. 24/7 has him as a 4-star. I think On3 has him as a 4-star as well. Probably would have been Nebraska's starting running back next year. He's that good, but he's not going to come anymore. So my point is, I don't get that upset about recruits, and I don't get that worked up or excited about recruits unless I know they're 1,000% bought in. This wasn't a guy who I ever thought was 1,000% bought in. There's a couple guys like Carter Nelson, 1,000% bought in. Daniel Kalen, all in. There's a few like Nebraska guys, but outside of that, these other guys are wishy-washy. You never know what's going to happen during the course of a season. They're going to watch the offensive line. They're going to watch the offense be unproductive. They're going to say, well, I could go to Ole Miss where they win 10, 11 games a year and they're churning out NFL running backs. Why would I go to Nebraska, right? So I don't get salty. It is what it is. Not too worried about it. Nathan says, what are the keys for Nebraska to win the game tomorrow? I talked about it earlier. I'll bring it up again since there's some new people in the chat. The key for tomorrow is for the pass rush to get to Hudson Card. If you can't get to Card, he extends plays with his legs. If he extends plays, the passing defense gets burned a few times. They have chunk plays. They score touchdowns. Nebraska cannot keep up with a team that can score touchdowns at will like Colorado did. Now, keep in mind, Colorado didn't get those chunk plays and didn't have all those opportunities until the offense basically gave the game away towards the end of the second quarter. Regardless, they can't give Purdue the opportunity. So they got to get to the quarterback. They got to shut that shit down early. And if they do, then Nebraska's going to be in great position to score 17 points, hold them to 13 or 14, and get out of there with a win. The same way they could beat Michigan State, the same way they could beat Maryland, the same way they could beat Iowa, and the same way they could beat Wisconsin. Just think about that. They could beat all these teams left on the schedule the exact same way. Michael says, why isn't Jack Walkie playing? I mean, it's too late now, but we never saw him. He is I think he's a walk-on. He's not a QB who's going to come in and play at Nebraska. He was a QB who's going to come and get to be a part of the team and a part of the system and learn and practice, but it's hard to get all the quarterbacks on the field, right? He wasn't a guy who was coming here to be a player, I don't think. He wasn't coming here to win the job. Husker Nation, thank you for being a member. Thank you for the $10 super chat. How about that semi that's being used to recruit a 4-star player to Nebraska? So there's a semi truck. It's got the Nebraska branding all over it. It's their travel truck. It's what they load all of their equipment up to when they go on the road. It pulled up to Grant Brix High School in Iowa this week to make sure, Grant Brix sees it. Grant Brix is potentially going to Kansas State, Oklahoma, or Nebraska. I think it was all about Nebraska at one point. Then it started to feel like Oklahoma was in the front. Now you don't really know. It's up in the air. He hasn't given the decision yet, and who knows what'll happen with Brix. He's the number one offensive line recruit left on the board, the number one offensive line recruit in Iowa, and a top 70 player overall nationally. So they really want him. They sent the truck. Carter Nelson today got the truck in Ainsworth. So they're sending that truck around to priority recruits, which I think is pretty damn cool, because if you're a high school kid and most of these kids go to smaller schools in the Midwest, they're having a giant truck pull up in front and everyone knows they're here for me. It's pretty awesome. It's a big billboard. But yes, I love the semi truck. I love it. Nicholas, thank you for the $5. Hey, Connor, the injuries on offense do worry me tomorrow, but that D, they're going to shine. Say hi to my son, Harry, please. 7-year-old Husker fan. What's up, Harry? I'm glad that Harry gets to watch the content with you. I hope you guys get to do this as a little father and son bonding thing. Sorry that I cuss so much and I say some crazy things. I try to keep it family friendly, but I can only be so family friendly for so long. Injuries on offense. The offense can't get any worse. Think of it that way. The offensive line can only screw things up if they have penalties or if they, like I said earlier, if the center fumbles the ball. Outside of that, they are what they are, and they've been blocking kind of the same way for the last 3 years. The defenses they're going up again aren't dominant enough to take advantage of it. So I'm not too worried about the offensive line's depth or the offense's depth in general. It's primarily the offensive line, because the skill positions, they haven't been doing much either way as it is. If you go and look at what Billy Kemp's done so far this year, has it been much more than any of these other receivers could do? Probably not. Jaden Doss might look as good as Billy Kemp does or has tomorrow. So the key is your quarterback. The key is your running back doesn't fumble. And if you don't have those turnovers, this offense can just hum along and eke some points out. So wouldn't be worried about it. It's all about the defense. It's all about the defense and not committing back-breaking penalties. I said this earlier too. I'm going to bring it up for everybody who's new in the chat. When Nebraska has those penalties on 1st and 10 or 2nd and 7, and then it's a hold or it's a false start or just some BS, and it takes them out of position to pick up that next first down, it's an auto punt. Every time. It's always happening. And every time I see one of those penalties, I just want to bang myself in the head. I get so frustrated because I know they're not scoring points this drive because that was the backbreaker. That was the killer. And we just have to move on from it. We have to kick the ball to them and now get a little fresh start. So hopefully there aren't many penalties. Which defender needs to play the best tomorrow in order to win, assuming the offense scores 14 to 20 points? Cam Lenhart, Nash Hutmacher, pick anybody on the line. Any defensive lineman. They have to shut down Hudson Card. I already have faith they're going to shut down the run game. I'm confident in that. But they have to shut down Hudson Card. Oh, Nash Smack Attack. Let's go. The Crypto Badger's back. Thank you for the $200 super chat, Todd. I appreciate it. This is for Nash Hutmacher's sacks last week. I forgot. Crypto Badger, you weren't there for the live stream after. I was actually worried you didn't get to watch the game with us. Because if you weren't on the live stream, I thought maybe this dude didn't even get to watch the game. But hopefully you got to at least see the replay and see the sacks. Someone hit me up yesterday about hunting because it's hunting season. And I did an ad read for Todd's farm up in South Dakota. So if you guys want to go hunting, kill birds, Todd's got the farm to do it. But thank you for the 200. I appreciate it a ton. Viking Power. If we had the offense of last year and the defense of this year, we would be a top 25 team. Thinking about the offense of last year. At its peak, the offense was pretty solid. But when the offense lost Casey Thompson, the offense wasn't very good. So I actually would argue pick a different offense from a different year, like the 2018 offense with Adrian Martinez. Thinking back, the last 5 games with Adrian Martinez in the 2018 offense, not the first ones. But even if you went, screw it, the 2018 offense mixed with this year's defense would be a top 25 team. Book it. Promise you that. But last year's offense, I don't know. They were, Yeah, they were, Roger says saccaroni and cheese for lunch tomorrow. Yeah, they need to get some sacks. They need to get pressure, and that's how they're going to win this game. I already talked about the weather. I wanted to go through some stats with you guys really quick. Or not stats, some rankings. Rankings is better. So the first one I saw was, where was it? That was sacks allowed. Yes. Sacks allowed. Purdue is somewhere low. This is an important one because we're on the subject of Nash and sacks. So Purdue is giving up 2.5 sacks a game. 17 total sacks. That's a great sign. 89th nationally. Nebraska's a little bit better. They also have a quarterback who I think avoids sacks better, and they're not putting him in position where he's going to hold on to the ball too long and not get away. So positive sign right there. I like that matchup. Nebraska's defense versus a team who already gives up sacks. Then you go to scoring defense. Let's find where Purdue is. Purdue's going to be low. No? Are my eyes deceiving me? Nebraska's number 25 nationally in scoring defense. Purdue is not in the top 50. Where the hell are they? There they are. They're number 98 scoring defense, which means when teams get into the red zone or get close to the end zone, They're scoring points. 98th nationally in scoring defense. Does it get better? Obviously. Northwestern was really bad in scoring defense as well last week, and their defense played a different level because they're coming off a bye week. This is probably a similar situation. Their defense is going to look a lot different than what they've looked in the past games that we've watched. Rushing defense. Nebraska, number 4 in the nation. It's so awesome to see Nebraska ranked somewhere, in the top 10 in a stat category where it matters. Purdue's rushing defense. They're right in here at the lower end. Purdue is similar to Colorado. Colorado's 88. Purdue's 81st in the country in rush defense. So the two categories that Nebraska would need Purdue to be bad in, scoring defense and rushing defense, they are. So we got to like that matchup, which is why I'm so confused about why Vegas is so high on them. What are the kicking stats? It doesn't even matter what their kicking stats are. Their kicking game sucks. So I'm not really worried about their kicking game. Nebraska has the edge in a lot of different areas. If you guys want to see what my studio looks like, I had this video pulled up. I'll show you. This is what my goal is. Something like this. So imagine I put a shelf right here behind me, a floating shelf. I already have it. I just got to mount it. Floating shelf. Then I put a little plants on it. Then I put a light on top of it. Then I'm going to get these 2 beam lights. I bought one of them already to test it out, but it's a big corner. It's like sits in the corner like this. I've got I'll show you. I've got this corner right here. So I put this light beam and then it'll project light, obviously. It's a big LED. I can change the colors or whatever. Then this whole half of the wall will start to have that faded effect that it has on her screen. And I'll do that on each side. I could beam it red or whatever colors. This is my thought. This is my goal. I've put about 3 hours of thought into it so far. We started off with just a black wall. And now we've got to elevate it. So I went and got the IKEA shelf, and now I'm going to mount it, and then we'll go from there. But, I've got a lot of stuff in my room right now that I can, move around and figure out. But I'm just trying to make this space a cool little studio setup. Something different than you guys saw before, because I love the bedroom. I know a lot of people miss the bedroom. I do too. I miss the bedroom so much that I was sitting here last night, and I was like, you know what? Screw the black wall, screw this little studio setup. I have to go back to my roots. I have to flip the desk and show the bed, and I've got to be me. And I thought, no, I'm going to chill out. I'm going to figure out what I can do to make this studio space feel, like a good spot for me to record. So I put some thought into it today, and I'm going to put some more thought into it tonight. I'm running that Amazon account up tonight, making sure I get all the equipment I need. So you'll see something that looks good behind me soon. Right now, it's very bland. I know. I also have to figure out my lighting because I changed my lighting setup. I'm not doing any natural light like I used to. I'm not doing any of the red background lighting. I got to figure out I've got one panel here. I've got one small panel here. So I got to figure all that out. And then once it's all done, I'll show you guys. It's a command center, okay? It's not just a desk. It's a command center. I look like I'm in a real studio, like at CBS or something, like editing. It's pretty awesome. So once it's all done, I'll make a video where I have my friend record me, and I'll show you the whole room and how much goes into this whole deal, because it's more than just let me turn on my camera and my light. It's a commitment. Anyway, that's the vision. Just giving you guys a little peek. Call it insider access. And also, this channel is sponsored by Character Chronicles. If you guys haven't had a chance yet, you can go subscribe to Adam's channel. He just hit 10,000 subscribers this week. He's one of the most notable, talk show personalities as a Nebraska commentator. And he started his channel August 3rd, 3 months ago. So in 3 months, he's gone from 0 to 10K subscribers. We're all trying to support each other. He had a quote about rising tides raise all ships, and it's so true. When his channel grows, it helps mine grow because more people are seeing his content. They're suggested to go watch mine, and then obviously all of our subscribers grow. So I've been doing as much as I can to help him to grow his personal brand on YouTube, and it's obviously done well so far. He's crushing it. So if you haven't had a chance to yet, make sure you check out his videos and subscribe to his channel because they're a great partner for us. And then I haven't talked about it yet. I'm going to come back to chat in 1 second. But there's the Michigan guy, Connor Stallions. Crazy story. My understanding is he was like a nut job who his dream was to become the Michigan head coach. He had the whole manifesto about it. He was a military guy and he ended up getting a job working for Michigan. He ended up hiring people. I don't know. This one says it was a D3 coach who got hired by Stallions to go and record other team sidelines for a few $100s. So, and he got a Michigan home game ticket out of it as well. So this guy, Connor Stallions, was told by whoever on Michigan's coaching staff, go do it. Okay, you guys know the whole story. It's been talked about all week. I don't really care. Obviously, they cheated. Something's going to happen from it. It means nothing for all the games they won. They probably would have won the games anyway. I don't know how much knowing their play calls really affected things. Ohio State beat them one year anyway, or was able to beat them a few different times on different plays when they were saying, oh, we're going to watch for the throw or we're going to watch for the pass, whatever that hand sign was. The next play, CJ Stroud threw it and they weren't able to stop it. So they're able to beat him through the air. And yeah, I'm not really concerned with them cheating to this level. They were still a dominant team anyway. It's still wrong. They should still be punished. They're going to get punished. I think this is the official end of the Jim Harbaugh era after this. He already wanted to go back to the NFL anyway, so this is a great time for him to exit. And the bigger question with all of this is, who is going to come in and be Michigan's next head coach? That's the question to look for, because all the cheating stuff, whatever, it is what it is. But who is Michigan's next head coach? There's a lot of good options out there. I was talking to my friend Jake. Jake said, I think it could be Dabo Swinney. Could you imagine Dabo Swinney leaving Clemson, where, his run has officially come to an end. The era is over. They're now 4-3, is it? They have another loss coming up on the schedule, most likely. Clemson's done. If they look at themselves the way they do view themselves with a big ego, they're not going to want to keep Dabo, and Dabo's not going to want to stay. They're not going to want to keep Dabo because he's rooted in a certain type of coaching and he's not going to go take guys from the transfer portal. Maybe Michigan, who's already established as a brand and says we're already winning championships, you don't need to go to the portal and we're not worried about that. I don't know, but he would be someone to look for, a potential. I thought that was interesting that my friend Jake brought him up. Okay, I'm getting back to chat, guys. Jim, thank you for the $7.77. It sounds like a lucky tip. It sounds lucky to me. It's Corn Craze hoodie weather. Just win, baby. That's what I need on my next hoodie. My next hoodie just needs to say just win, baby, and then have a little corn crazed, because that's all we really want. I say that's all we really want, but is it? Because a lot of comments last week were a lot of complaints. We won, but the offense. We won, but this and that and the turnovers and that. Are we looking for reasons to complain? Are we just bored? Do we need problems? It reminds me of the girls in LA who I hang out with who always look for shit to complain about. They watch the Kardashian shows. They drink $7 coffees. They get their sugar daddies to buy them all kinds of shit like Chanel bags and everything else. But every time I talk to them, the first thing I hear out of their mouth is a complaint. They're living the life, but they always have something to complain about. I compare them to Nebraska fans in some ways, because Nebraska fans wanted this year, all they wanted was to win games. I thought, wow, could you imagine if Nebraska could just get to 6? Well, guess what? They're on pace for it. They look like a 6-win team, but I still hear nonsense. I still hear, well, they're all... We have what we asked for. Our needs, our requirements are met. Sure, we could ask for more. Sure, we could desire more. And yes, I know we deserve more. But this is all we wanted, and we got it. So rather than complain or get frustrated and be greedy, let's just enjoy it. Let's bask in the moment. There's time for greener grass on the other side after we get through this season, but let's just enjoy what this is. Let's enjoy 4-3, potentially 5-3, potentially a bowl game, a win over, Iowa. Let's enjoy those moments. Sure, it's not the prettiest path to get there, but hey, we still got there. We got to where we wanted to go. And at the end of it, you're probably going to sit there and say, you know what, I'm happy with this year. Even though this sucked, and I complained the entire way through about how much everything sucked, I'm happy now at the end. Well, how about just be happy and enjoy the moment the entire way through? That way you never have any brain damage, you never have any stress, and you just accept it is what it is for the next 2 months, month and a half. And then at the end of it, we can say, here's what we need to readjust. But yeah, that's my thought. That's my rant. I don't need any more complaining. I got enough shit to complain about in my life. I don't got to complain about Nebraska winning. I've got enough to complain about in my life. I don't need to complain about Nebraska winning games. I'm telling you right now, the one positive I have with all the bullshit going on around me, I'm going to enjoy that positive. I'm going to pet it like it's a Beanie Baby. I'm going to love it and appreciate it so damn much because it's the one thing I have that's going right, right? Let's just appreciate what is going right. Anyway, that's just my take. Maybe your guys' lives are just so freaking good, you need something to complain about. Maybe that's what it is. Not me. I got enough complaints. I'm telling you, the last thing I'm doing is complaining about a football team that I thought was going to be shit a month and a half ago being okay. I know I keep ranting, but it's just in my head. How the hell do you complain about what you wanted to happen? You wanted 4-3. You told me you would be happy with 4-3. Now you're not happy. I'm done. By the way, you guys know when I lost my voice just now and I had to take a drink of water? Let me do it again. So sometimes I'll be recording, right? I sit right here at my desk like this. Wait, no, I sit here like this. I edit going that direction. So I'll sit here, I'll talk. And then sometimes my voice will just cut out. I'm on a full-on rant, like a spiel. Yeah, I don't know how long. Let's say I'm going for like 2 minutes and it's da-da-da-da-da, I'm firing. And then there's nothing that comes out. It just, I can't talk. Then you know what I have to do? Take a drink of water and then restart the entire thought because I don't want it to be too choppy. So I have to restart the thought and then talk all the way through, and it got screwed up and it takes my video even longer to record. But you know, it is what it is. That's why we've got the water right next to me. That's why the other day, well, I guess it was a month ago, last month, I went and I bought a Nebraska specific, I don't know, what do you call this, mug? I bought a Nebraska specific water thing so that I could make sure that anytime I was getting a little bit dry in here, we could fix that with one sip. It is hard to talk this long without, you know, having any interaction back. That is the interesting part about streaming. Whenever I stream, I'm just literally talking to myself. Okay, I gotta get back to chat because I just saw a new one pop up from the Crypto Badger for $100. Thank you for the support, my executive producer. Here's the thing. We don't have many seniors. Next year looks awesome. Cali girls are overrated. Facts. It's time to go to work. He's telling me to get to work on the farm up in South Dakota, by the way, guys. Let this season play out. Let's make a bowl game and move forward. Find and grind. See, that's the type of positive energy we need. We need some dudes like that in the comments on Twitter. We need somebody to come and say, look, it is what it is. It's a young team. We're trying to build back better. I don't know if I should say build back better. I'm pretty sure that's like a political quote. Anyway, we're trying to build something special. Next year does look really promising. All of these young guys are going to be even better when they're built more and when they understand the system. There's not going to be that transition period of trying to understand how the coaching works and try and learn and adjust to the culture. They're going to know what this program is going into 2024. It's going to be beautiful. Now, there are going to be some rough games because that schedule will be gnarly. But will you feel good about what the product is on the field? Probably. You're going to have some really good players out there who understand what Matt Rule wants and what the desire is. Okay, I missed another one. Crypto Badger, another 100. Thank you again. Go hit Chronicles for sure. My next group of bird hunters are all Purdue alum. I need some smack talk before they get here. Let's go. Oh, you're going to have plenty to talk to them about. Plenty to give them. And thank you again. Thank you for tipping me $400 tonight. This is real executive producer vibes. I appreciate it a ton. You know that the support means a lot to me. But yeah, I hope you have plenty to talk to them about their defense slipping up, about the offense, not being able to score on Nebraska, having, you know, one of the best defenses in the country, top five rushing D. There's, you know, a lot of positive to give to them. So Caleb says, I haven't complained about a win yet. I can honestly say, yes, I just want wins. You can complain when we've won as much as Bama did on that run of theirs. Daryl says, unfortunately, Slick Jim won't be punished because he'll leave before any sanctions hit the program, leaving the players and perfectly innocent players, coaches, and staff that come in next year. The thing is with the Michigan like program deal is, I think that their punishment will more so be on the coaches. I don't know if they're going to punish all the players. You know, I think it'll be potentially a scholarship loss, potentially one bowl game ban, but realistically, they'll probably punish the coaches and say they're all suspended and can't coach next year. Anyone who is involved. But I'm not sure. No offense, only defense says, please don't compare us to LA girls. Look, I'm not complaining you to LA girls. I'm comparing the complainers to LA girls. Okay. I don't think anybody in this chat's a complainer. If you're here in this chat, you're like me. You're optimistic. You're positive. You're sitting here thinking about how Nebraska can beat Purdue tomorrow. You're not sitting here thinking, F the offense. They're going to lose the game for us. This is a positive energy area. Trust me. Minnie says, I used to cry myself to sleep after every game in years past. No tears this year. You guys know, Minnie is actually crazy. She's a really big Nebraska fan. She's dead ass. She's crazy. So I would believe that this could be true. She might actually go to sleep with tears in her eyes after some of those games we watched. I never went to bed with tears in my eyes, but I did go to bed frustrated. And it would ruin my Sunday. I remember that. My Sundays would always feel kind of ugh. That's funny. Build back better is Joe Biden's campaign slogan. Yeah, I take it back. Corey says, I will be happy when Nebraska plays like they should, but I am seeing positive improvement. I think Corey is a great representative of our community. Corey is a representative of the Corn Craze Army, because this is how I think a majority of Corn Craze subscribers and commenters feel. And this is what most of my comments look like. Now, there are a few outliers, obviously, and it's okay to be an outlier. It's okay to have an opinion. It's okay to have a feeling. I am not judging you for it. Do your thing. I'm just saying we all choose what type of life we're going to live. We can look at the glass half full or half empty. I'm going to look at it as half full, and we're seeing positive improvement. Anyway, Corey, thank you for being a good representative of the Corn Craze Army. We all appreciate you. We all applaud you. Tater, thank you for being a member for the last 13 months. I'm pumped I can finally rock my 402 hoodie at a game. I'm pumped for that too. I'll tell you what, the 402 hoodie is hands down my favorite hoodie I own. I love that hoodie. I love black, so like that obviously helps. I love the 402 right across the chest, the little Corn Craze in red. I mean, that thing pops. That thing's fire. I'm going to have to figure out what to do for merch next year. Fortunately, I can do merch next year because I think we're going to have a team who's, decent enough for me to make content all the way through the season and people aren't going to be frustrated about it. Fortunately, this year ended up being that way, and I didn't know it was going to be. So hopefully we do some merch next year. But thank you for buying the 402 hoodie and for supporting the channel, Tater. Appreciate you. Caleb, thank you for the $5 super chat. People who have problems with this team so far don't understand football much. It's year one in a rebuild. No reason to be upset. GBR. You're right, Caleb, to an extent, but at the same time, I think it's less about them understanding football and more about them being frustrated that we aren't reaching for more. I compare it to an Iowa fan, actually. Iowa fans go and they look at their Iowa team and the product on the field and they say, we're winning 9 games a year. But what the hell is this no offense BS? What the hell is this? We have a #1 defense in the country and all these NFL defensive players and a great tight end, but we can't score. What is that? It's been like that for years over there. So those people deserve to complain. Now, I think Nebraska fans, some of them, have that same kind of deal inside them. They're like, you know what? This is BS. Nebraska should be a 10-win team this year, which I agree. They could have won 10 this year, potentially. They could have beat Minnesota and Colorado. They could have run this gauntlet. No problem. It was a tough slate at points, but they could have escaped with, 2 losses, 3 losses. Anyway, they're reaching for the stars. I respect that. I admire that. That's how I live my daily life. But at the same time, when words get a little nasty and we get a little frustrated and it holds us back from appreciating what we do actually have, then, I've got to confront it and give my opinion. That's why I brought it up. But thank you, Caleb, for the $5 super chat. Not sure if I told you that. Michael is still a strong believer that the offense might surprise us tomorrow. I have my doubts, Michael, but I'm here for it if they do. Tyler says, just keep going for 1-0 each week, GBR. It's worked, right? What's crazy is it keeps working. It worked against Illinois. It worked against Northwestern. It could work this week. And if that mentality keeps working, we'll understand that this team is fully bought in, that they're zeroing in on what matters. They're not overthinking. They're not overlooking. They're not looking past. They're locked in. And what it takes to win is to be locked in. When Heinrich Harburg scores on those big long runs, or he throws a touchdown pass, what's happening? He's focused in. He's locked in. When Heinrich Harburg drops the ball from shotgun or whatever and fumbles it, what's he doing? He's looking other directions. His mind's elsewhere. He is not locked. So yeah, lock in on 1-0 each week and they're going to be good. College Football with Sam makes an appearance. Sam, thank you for being here. He says, I am deeply saddened by the reports about Michigan. There needs to be punishment. Nebraska is going to beat Purdue and cover the spread. I would hope they would cover the spread if they beat them, because otherwise that's a 1-point win, and I'd be a little stressed out over a 1-point win. That would keep me sweating on the edge of my seat till the end of the game. But hey, maybe I need that for tomorrow. Sam, the reports at Michigan suck, but you know, it's football, and a lot of teams cheat. You know what I mean? They all find different ways. Michigan just pushed the limits a little bit too hard. I'm sure other teams are trying to steal play calls and doing other things. You know, they're not all perfect. So it does suck as a Michigan fan to know that your team's doing that. But, you know, they're not the only ones. There are a lot of teams out here who are screwing around and not getting caught. You know what I'm saying? So it does suck. But I'm sure Michigan will bounce back either way. And Sam says he's cried over Michigan losses before. Kyle says, Connor, what's your favorite Runza order? So I've been to Runza, 30, 50, 60 times in my life? Not that many. I've only had one thing at Runza. I've had French fries, actually. I've had French fries. But no, I've only had an original, normal Runza. Now, at the Nebraska game against Michigan, my friend and I thought we'd get a little freaky. Well, we went to the Runza thing. We bought a Runza, and then we walked up to the hot dog area where you get the mustard and everything. We opened up the Runzas, and we threw mustard right across the middle of them, closed them back up, let them cool down, because those things are so freaking hot. And it was 90 degrees or 93 at the Michigan game. It was so hot I had to eat Dippin' Dots that day. I remember. I don't eat Dippin' Dots. I'm not an ice cream guy, but I was pounding Dippin' Dots because it was so hot outside. I had to cool my body down. Anyway, cracked the Runza open, hit it with mustard, slapped it down, and it was fire. If I go back to Runza, I will be getting it with mustard. I didn't know that was a thing. So my favorite Runza order officially is a Runza with mustard on it. 2 of them. 2 Runzas. The Badgers back with another 100. Final thoughts. Nash gets 2. We get 2 picks. Okay, Nash, 2 sacks. We get 2 interceptions. Final score 27-21. I got to take the over, but I'm not going to bet it. Just taking Nebraska to win. This is a make or break game, and Coach be doing his thing. Black shirt's been fun to watch. Now it's time to prove it. You're getting me pumped up. See, first off, thank you for the 100. Thank you for tipping me $500 tonight. You are legit awesome, and the support that you give me, Todd, it really keeps the channel going. So it's not just me who thanks you. It's everybody in this chat who thanks you, because it does a lot for all of us so that I can keep creating content. That's the first thing. Nash with 2 sacks and Nebraska with 2 picks. I got to tell you, I think under those circumstances, Nebraska wins this game 27-14. I don't think Purdue gets to 14 if Nebraska has 2 interceptions. And if Nash gets 2, I'm assuming somebody else gets 1 and somebody else. That's 4 sacks and 2 interceptions, 27-14. I'm saying it now. That would push the over. So I like the over in that spot. The 2 interceptions is crazy, though. It's so bold. You're getting me fired up. My heart's racing right now. Could you imagine? Nebraska, 2 interceptions? Oh, my God. You're getting me excited. A make or break game is so true. If Nebraska wins this game, okay, if they lose this game, it's not the end of the world. It's not. It's going to suck. It's going to sting. It's going to be annoying. It's going to be frustrating. You don't want to lose at home, right? You don't want to lose the momentum that they've built. They've really done a lot so far to build back after that Michigan game. If they can keep that momentum going, man, it's like a steam engine. It's like a Boilermaker. So they want to win because they got to keep that momentum. If they do, and the reason we called them make is because they could potentially win the next two after that. They could potentially beat Michigan State. I mean, they should beat Michigan State. Michigan State's not a very good team. And then Maryland's going to be a test, but Maryland is not the same Maryland that they were in the first 5 games of the year. They have now played real opponents, and they've looked a lot more mid. They've looked a lot more, not like Nebraska, but they've looked average. So, yeah, this game could be a make to get them to that 7-win mark, and that would exceed most people's expectations. So, Todd, again, thank you for all the support tonight. Thank you for being back in the chat. We missed you in the post-game live stream last week. Hopefully you're there for another one this season, but I know you're over there busy. And guys, you gotta chill on him misspelling black shirts. He's over there having a beer after work. He's been out on the farm all day long with his like tractor thing that he drives around in. It's a freaking long day out there in South Dakota. And he might actually be in the tractor thing right now, responding here on his phone or whatever. He might still be working. This dude will text me at 11:30 at night and tell me he worked until 11:30. He is a grinder. I'm telling you, he doesn't get to watch Nebraska games because he's out on the farm working. It's commitment. Sam says, I don't think we'll face a ton of punishment, and I still think this team is the best in the country. We'll probably face a fine and maybe a few suspensions. You know, it's a win when you are a team who gets to the playoff, because the NCAA obviously can't afford to kick you out. So, yeah, I don't think anything's going to happen to Michigan either. I mean, it'll be light punishment, but I don't think the school and the players are going to deal with that much repercussion. I think it's going to be more the coaches and maybe some scholarships. Luke says, any chance the offense scores over 35? I mean, it'd have to be a lot of defensive turnover, or a lot of turnovers by the defense, and it'd have to be a lot of, I don't know, big plays. It'd have to be Malachi Coleman breaking away on an 80-yard catch, and then Heinrich Harburg breaking a 65-yard run, and I just don't see that happening. Kyle says, Connor, what do you think about Sims coming in for Harburg? I talked about it earlier. I think this week, if Sims doesn't play, I think he's done for the year. I think they're going to sit him. I think they're going to let him redshirt. It doesn't make sense. It's kind of like Isaiah Garcia Castaneda last year. Last year, IGC played in the first couple games. The next 2, they weren't using him at all. He stopped in a redshirt. If they're not going to use me, I'm not going to burn a year of eligibility. He made the right decision because Mickey Joseph wasn't going to play him very much. He redshirts, retains the eligibility, had the option to go to the portal, had the option to come back to Nebraska. Obviously, IGC ends up tearing his ACL. It was a mess. Jeff Sims, is he going to play in 2 more games as a backup? No, he's probably going to redshirt and then figure out a situation going forward. Does he come back next year? And does he compete for the job with whoever the transfer is that they bring in next year and Heinrich Harburg? Or do they go to the portal and they let him go to the portal? I don't know. We'll have to see. It'll be interesting. Gloom Trench. Tyler says, I have the Huskers covering on bro throw. Let's look at the lines on bro throw right now really quick. I know some of you are going to bet Nebraska tomorrow. So if you do it on bro throw, this is the beauty of bro throw. I'm not getting paid for this advertising right now. This isn't like an advertising thing that I'm doing for them. I'm just doing this out of the love of my heart for all of you who bet on games. If you bet on any of the apps like FanDuel or any of those apps, you want to bet Purdue, or obviously you're not betting Purdue. You want to bet Nebraska -1.5. You want to bet $50 on it. You win. I didn't do it right, so you could see it. It doesn't matter. I went too fast. But the point is, you bet 50, you win 50. On other sports books, you have to bet 50 to win 45. So Purdue's a great option for, Bro Throw's a great option for you to bet on Nebraska to beat Purdue, and you'll win more money here than you would wherever else you bet. That's why I tell people to sign up for Bro Throw. That's how I've saved $3,450 in juice over the past year, just by betting against people instead of betting against the book. So Bro Throw's a great option. Tyler, thanks for bringing that up, because we're about to talk about picks for this week. Here are the Big Ten West standings, just so you guys can see going into tomorrow. Iowa is on bye. It'll be Wisconsin in the lead if they win, or if they lose their game, they'll still be in the lead. Right? Or would they be tied? Oh my God. Wisconsin would be, wait, this is conference. So Wisconsin, if Nebraska won tomorrow and Wisconsin lost, Nebraska, Wisconsin, and I think Minnesota would all be tied for first place in the Big Ten West. It's crazy to think. I thought there would have to be something wrong in my head, but no, it will be a tie for first place. So we talked about Nebraska, Purdue already. All the games in the Big Ten, pretty much all of them suck. Indiana is at Penn State. Penn State's a 31-point favorite. They'll blow them out. Don't care about that game. Northwestern, Maryland. This is intriguing to me. Northwestern looked a lot better than I thought they would look last week. They're at home. Northwestern's due to play better. I mean, they've already improved a little bit as the season's gone on, it seems like. I think Northwestern could give Maryland a scare. I don't think Maryland's that good of a team. 14's a lot of points. I kind of like Northwestern to cover. I wouldn't say they're going to upset them, but if they did, it would be pretty interesting. Minnesota hosts Michigan State. I'm really looking forward to this one. Minnesota is supposed to win this game by 7, but this will give us an idea of where Michigan State's at post-Michigan, because they went on bye after they changed quarterbacks. They changed from Noah Kim to Caton Hauser. And when they changed, Hauser looked a little bit better. So now he's not playing against Michigan. He's playing against an average team similar to Nebraska. How is he going to look against Minnesota? It'll tell us a lot about their game for next week. The last game on the list, I just think Ohio State's going to run them, is Ohio State, Wisconsin. I just don't see Wisconsin keeping this close. But who knows? Anything can happen. I don't know. Andrew says, does Nebraska need to bring in another portal something next year? Or do you think Harburg can develop into being one of the top quarterbacks in the Big Ten in the next couple of years? They have to bring in a portal QB next year, I think. Yeah. There's not an option. You bring it. I mean, unless Harburg ended up throwing for 70% in these last 5 games and something magically got fixed, then yeah, they're bringing in a portal QB next year to compete with him. All right, guys. Well, I'm reading all the comments, all the chat. It's time for a portal QB. Harburg will be back up or go to tight end. I've been hearing a lot about Daniel Kalen as QB next year. Daniel Kalen has not been having a good high school season, I don't think. So I don't know about Daniel Kalen starting next year. I mean, you have to have a massive turn of events. We'll see, though. We'll see. All right, guys. Well, thanks for being here tonight. Tomorrow's a big game. I'll be live right after. Win or lose, I'm here. I'm here to talk to you. I'm either here to talk you through the loss and, sit here in sorrow with you, or we're going to be pumped up and excited after a win. We'll all be thinking about what bowl game are they going to, because at 5 wins and another one coming inevitably, it's going to feel damn good to be a Nebraska fan in year 1 of the Matt Rule era. But thank you to everybody tonight for being a member, for showing love in the chat, for commenting, for liking this video, for sending super chats, just for being a part of the Corn Craze Army and helping support me as I try to build this into something bigger, because we're almost at 20,000 subscribers. I'm grinding away. Things have been slow and choppy. People don't get excited about the team, but now I think we're about to see a turn of events. I think a lot of people are going to get back engaged, be really pumped for this back half of the slate, because there are a lot of good games left that Nebraska can win. So with all that said, thank you all for being here. I'm going to get ready to go to the gym right now so I can be, loose and feel good for the game tomorrow. I'm going to drink my water, wake up early, start watching games. Anyway, with all that said, I'll see you tomorrow after the game in the post-game live stream. Go Big Red.